Good evening and welcome to this brand new feature brought to you by the same old Arsenal and in association with the Chronicles of a Gooner. It's the very first edition of the Extra Time Show with me, your host, Harry Symeou, live on YouTube. 30 minutes of fan reaction to our latest fixture, offering our listeners the opportunity to interact live via the comments section below. This week, I am joined by two Arsenal fans. Oh, bit of feedback there. Jesus. Bear with me a second, guys. Just got a little bit of feedback. Oh, there we go. It's done. It's sorted. Nothing like a teething problem, is there? Right, so as I was saying, it's the very first edition of the Extra Time Show with me, your host, Harry Symeou, live on YouTube. And it's 30 minutes of fan reaction to our latest fixture, offering all our listeners the opportunity to interact live via the comments section below. This week, I am joined by two Arsenal fans. We have the brilliant Chris Davison. Chris, welcome. How are you, mate?
Hi, mate. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm all good, all good. Recovering from a bit of a hangover, but we're good. We're good.
Yeah, we are here. We're fine.
That's it. And we're also joined by the brilliant Nigel Plum. Nigel, how you doing, mate?
I'm fine, thank you. It's great to be on your show.
Good stuff. We're glad to have you, mate. Glad to have you. So, Arsenal 3, Stoke City 0. Hardly the most entertaining encounter, but the right result from an Arsenal point of view. Guys, I want to start off by talking about the manager's team selection, because we saw Ospina come in for Peter Cech, who was suffering with a groin problem. The defence was Bellerin, Mustafi, Chambers, Monreal, Elneny, Wilshere, Ramsey, Ozil, Welbeck, and Aubameyang was the rest of the team. Now, did you guys expect, starting with yourself, Chris, did you expect Arsenal to make a few changes, given that we haven't played a league fixture for a good 2 weeks now?
Yeah, I mean, irrespective of the break, I think we were expecting a few changes. Obviously, with the Europa League on Thursday, we had to bear that in mind as well. So yeah, we made a few changes. I mean, obviously, Xhaka started on the bench. We haven't seen that much this season, and I think Elneny came in and done a good job. But yeah, I think we still had a strong team. But I think it was the right thing to do. Obviously, with the Europa League on Thursday, we were against a team that are fighting to stay up. Obviously, the bottom of the table. Obviously, we did make things harder, a lot harder than what they needed to be. I think for the majority of the game, it's safe to say we weren't at our best at all. It wasn't the typical Arsenal. But I think it was, obviously it paid off in the end, making a few changes. It didn't really matter in the end. We got the 3 points. But I think, it was just a safe decision by Arsene Wenger just to leave a few names, on the bench just to get some rest ahead of Thursday.
Yeah. Nigel, what did you make of the decision to make Jack Wilshere captain? Was it an attempt at trying to persuade him to stay?
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that Jack was finally being made captain, because he's obviously an Arsenal man, and he obviously knows he's been from there from since he was a lad, and then obviously now he's captain, and hopefully that might persuade the manager to possibly keep him at the club at the end of the season, give him a new contract, and then possibly give him the captaincy on a permanent basis.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I found it a little strange because, don't get me wrong, and I've said this on previous shows, of course I want Jack Wilshere to stay. What Arsenal fan doesn't? But I take issue with a player whose future is uncertain being given the captain's armband. Chris, what do you make of the whole situation? Did you find it a little bit strange? Because I certainly did.
Obviously, because of this whole situation with Jack's contract, it's all a bit up in the air at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty. So yeah, from that point of view, obviously, you do think about it, because you don't know how this whole thing's going to end up. But at the end of the day, Jack Wilshere is Arsenal through and through, isn't he? He loves the club. He's very passionate. And he's not afraid to get stuck in, have a word with the players if he's not happy with how things are going on the pitch and off it as well. So I've got no problem with Jack being captain. I think for as long as he is here, and I still personally hope he signs the contract. I think he'll always give 100%. So I think it's fine with Jack being captain. Some say he's a good leader, and I think like I said, he's Arsenal through and through, and he'll be a good captain. When he is being made captain, because like I said, he will not be afraid to give his instructions out on the pitch as well as in the dressing room. So I think it's not too bad. I mean, I do understand where you come from, because it's obviously the whole contract scenario. The scenario, it's all up in the air at the moment. But I'm hoping that can still be sorted out pretty soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can get it sorted, because like I mentioned, I do want Jack to stay, and my gut feeling is that he will. I think he's just holding out for the best deal possible, and who can blame him? I mean, like I said to Craig the other day on the podcast, that these players, Aaron Ramsey, Jack Wilshere, have just watched Mesut Ozil hold out for the best deal possible. So it would be silly of their representatives not to do the same thing. Nigel, what's your gut feeling? Do you think Jack's going to stay on?
Well, I was asked this, funny enough, by Craig on a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me what I thought. Would he stay? I would love him to stay, but I've just got this horrible nagging feeling that he might go. But I'm hoping I'm proved wrong. And as Chris said, he's obviously an Arsenal man. He wants to stay, and like the Mesut Ozil contract situation, he wants to hold out for the best contract that he wanted, and I think Jack will want to do the same. But I've just got this horrible nagging feeling. I hope I'm proved wrong, and he stays. But I think he may leave and go elsewhere, which will be a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it would be a big, big shame. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang bagged a brace, making it 5 Premier League goals in 6 Premier League appearances. His first coming from the spot. Now, Craig Paulson had judged Mesut Ozil to have been fouled. In your opinion, Chris, was it a penalty?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was the lino that came into action and corrected the referee. I think that was the second one,
Chris. I think that was the second one. Lino gave it. Yeah.
Was it? So yeah, I was still suffering from his hangover, Harry. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of how it happened now.
There was a foul from the back of Ozil. It looked as though.
That's it. He looks as if he did get the ball, but I think there was still some contact for Ozil to go down, and obviously the referee thought it was the correct decision at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why the referee would give that, because looking from behind, the players come in from behind, and it looks as though he's taken Ozil's leg. When I've watched it again, I'm not so sure it was a penalty, but you know what, it's Stoke City, and if we have a hand in relegating them, I won't mind. Nigel, what did you make of the incident? Did you think it was a penalty? Because lots of my colleagues over at Sofa Sports were on my case, as they always are, claiming that we get all the decisions.
Yeah. Well, I watched the game live, and I thought it was a bit soft, to be honest. And you see, some referees would give it, some referees may not have given it. But luckily enough, we got a referee who was going to give it, because I wasn't sure if it was a penalty. As Chris said, he looked like he got the ball slightly, but I honestly don't think. I think it was a bit of a soft one, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, it's soft, isn't it? I mean, yeah, no, you're right. Yes, I was just going to say, I was going to agree. It's just, it is soft, but like he said, how many times you see them sort of given, but the other, it just. I think it's the ref's right place, right time, obviously, and obviously that he thought there was probably a bit of afters there after maybe he got the ball. So yeah, sometimes you don't get those ones at all. Sometimes he'll just wave for the play to go on, but obviously that he thought there was maybe a bit of afters there, maybe a bit of contact after he'd touched the ball, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where, you know, if we're going to not want VAR because, you know, it's had some real teething problems so far, if we're going to take that stance, then we have to accept that referees are going to miss things. And that is one that, you know, could have gone either way. And I think the referee's positioning plays a huge part in it. Look, at the end of the day, we got a penalty, and there's been a few this season that we should have had and we haven't. So,
well, that's I think that makes up for Lacazette's sort of, you know, ruled offside goal. That, you know, when we played Stoke at their place. You know, it's only fair now, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
That's it. Karma is a bitch, especially when you're in a relegation battle. Right. So Aubameyang's finish for the second was particularly impressive and put the game beyond any doubt. Now, starting with you, Nigel, what did you make of Aubameyang's decision to let Lacazette take the penalty? It's not every day you see a striker pass up the opportunity to complete a hat-trick, is it?
No, definitely not. I was actually kind of surprised because I've always noticed over the years that every time we get a penalty, the person that was brought down does not end up taking the penalty because Lacazette was the one who was brought down, and then I would have thought that Aubameyang would have taken the penalty because I don't know if you guys remember when we played Tottenham back in 2002 when we won 2-1 towards the end of the season when we got a penalty late on and Lauren took the penalty. So I think it was,
I remember that. Yeah,
because I think it was Wilshere that went down, and normally you would think that either himself or Henry would have taken it, but then Lauren decided to step up and take it. And I was actually kind of surprised yesterday. I would have thought Aubameyang would have wanted to complete his hat trick because you don't very, very rarely get a chance to complete a hat trick, let alone score 2 penalties. And I was kind of surprised that Lacazette wanted to take it.
That's right. And you know what? It was a nice touch, but I must admit, from the stands, I thought that this was I thought Wenger had given the instruction that when Lacazette is on the pitch, Lacazette takes the penalty. And you know what? I don't know how to word this. I wasn't upset that we scored the other 2 goals, but I had a bet actually on Arsenal to win 1-0 and Aubameyang to be the goal scorer. So when the second and third went in, I was kicking myself. You know? I lost out on about 100 quid, but what can we do? That's life, isn't it?
Can I just say, because I did actually predict on the BBC Sport app, they had like this football predictor, and I predicted 3-0. So I ended up getting like quite good points for that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you know what? I think if you bet Arsenal 3-0 every home game over the season, you'll get quite a few come off, won't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Pretty common scoreline. I don't know about you guys, but I thought that Alex Lacazette looked significantly sharper than he did before he went out injured, and I don't know if it's because he's had the surgery and he's rectified whatever problem he had. Chris, he did look a lot sharper, didn't he? He was more mobile. He looked like he was, you know, more involved in the play. What did you make of his performance? I know it was just a cameo, but it was significantly better, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know what you mean. He looked sharp. He looked more up for it. You know, he really wanted to get stuck in. He wasn't afraid to get stuck in. I thought when he came on, he done all right, and you know, obviously a good penalty from him as well. You know, he's a clinical goal scorer, and obviously he's got a good penalty record as well. So yeah, I'm hoping now that problem he had that'll just sort of die down a little bit now. You know, obviously there was a lot of questions on Wenger when obviously we got Lacazette and he kept subbing Lacazette off with 10-20 minutes to go. But there was a bit of talk about that it could have been down to that issue, and I think it probably was. You know, he wanted to play Lacazette as much as he could have. Obviously, he was probably aware with this issue that Lacazette had, so he didn't want to push Lacazette too hard and make it any worse. There was no way where Wenger was going to get Lacazette in for the 50-odd million we paid for him, and then you know, not play him hardly because of this problem. I don't even think it was, you know, that severe at the time. So I think that's probably why Wenger was being a bit cautious with him before. But hopefully now, obviously, when he came on yesterday, obviously, I think it's something that will excite fans, potentially him and Aubameyang playing together with Ozil, Mkhitaryan behind. It would be awesome. So yeah, I do see what you mean with Lacazette. Yesterday, I thought when he came on, he was good. He was very good.
Yeah, Nigel, do you think there is a way of playing Lacazette and Aubameyang together without weakening us significantly in the middle of the park?
Cool. I've always thought of that, like them two playing together. I do think that they can play together. To be honest, if they want to, because I've been asked by like friends of mine about how they could play together. And I said we could sort of play like two up top if they. But I know sometimes Lacazette don't like to play like as a two, but I would definitely think that they could work well together as a possible two if they wanted to go that route. And
Yeah,
but I definitely think they could definitely work well together. They seemed like they worked well for that little spell when Lacazette came on, and he did do really well as Chris said, and I definitely think that they can work well together, possibly for the rest of the season going into next.
See, where my concern is, I think I know what you mean. I'd love to have them both up top. I think there'd be a devastating strike force. I mean, it's over £100 million worth of striking quality, isn't it? But where my worry is that, yesterday we were playing a team that are stuck to the foot of the table at the moment and look as though they're probably going to go down. Now, Stoke deserve some credit for their performance yesterday because I thought they were pretty well organised for the most part. They were following their manager's instructions. I say they probably will get relegated. They certainly have a chance of surviving. And Paul Lambert, whilst he's not pulled up any trees yet, he looks as though he's got a system there, and it looks as though Stoke could possibly fight their way out of trouble. But we was playing a poor opponent yesterday, and when you play the bigger opponents and the better teams, then I'm concerned that playing Lacazette and Aubameyang up top with the midfield personnel that we currently have at the club would leave us far too exposed. That's my only worry, because then you have Ozil behind them. Then do you leave Mkhitaryan out? Do you play Mkhitaryan? But then you've got two luxury midfielders, and then what do you do? It's so difficult to find the right balance.
I was going to say, Harry, if I do see your point, because we're shaky enough towards the back as it is in the squad. I think I mean, obviously there's not too much time, between now and the end of the season anyway. But we've really got to strengthen defensively, whether it's defensive midfield, centre back as well. Especially if we are going to go more attacking, because we get caught out enough as it is now. If we're going to play more attacking football, then we're really going to have to, obviously the work effort's going to have to rise to the next level. And we just need to be more stable at the back, because we will get punished if we don't improve in those areas.
Yeah, totally agree. And Chris, you're a man in the know. Do you know of any plans to strengthen in those areas we've discussed, in the midfield and the defence? Has Sven Mislintat identified any targets for the summer?
Definitely, Sven. Honestly, I was really hoping for this to happen, and ever since Sven's come in, he's been really busy working with the board, scouting a lot of players he already knew himself from Germany. Obviously, I'm sure you've heard about there's some young, very talented young centre backs being looked at from the Bundesliga, and also Max Meyer. He's been talked about at the club as well for sort of defensive midfield and sort of central midfield. He can play in any of those roles, and it's obviously been talked about that he could potentially be lined up to replace Ramsey or Wilshere if they were to leave. Even Cazorla, obviously we're still waiting to see what happens with them two, Wilshere and Ramsey. But I think we need to, irrespective of that, we need to improve in those situations anyway. But yeah, I know I get asked quite a lot on Twitter if plans are already being made, and I can assure you that plans are already being panned out and worked on for the summer, and that no doubt we're going to strengthen in even goalkeeper as well as centre back and defensive midfield.
That's great to hear, and I'm sure all Arsenal fans out there will be pleased to hear that there is some work going on in the background, because we all know that this squad is not good enough, and our league possession tells you all you need to know. Guys, Arsene Wenger in his post-match interview was cautious to criticise the fans when he was asked about another low turnout at the Emirates. He's well and truly sitting on the fence, isn't he, by saying, you know, it's Easter and people go away. Nigel, are you buying that? Because let's be honest, the attendances have been significantly lower for quite some time now. I see it with my own eyes.
Oh, definitely. I saw, because I watched it live yesterday, and you can see the many empty seats there. I've never seen the Emirates near enough so many empty seats for a long time, and I can't get how do they when you see they give them like this sheet with like the actual attendance like 59,000 whatever it was, when actually there wasn't 59,000. It's ridiculous.
Mate,
absolutely ridiculous.
You'd be lucky if there was 39,000 there. Trust me. I think what they do is, you know, they take into account the season ticket holders who don't turn up as well. And so you don't get a true figure. But surely, you know, with all the technology, with this way you tap into the stadium now, there must be a way of monitoring the actual attendance. But
definitely.
Why would the club want to announce a negative figure, I suppose?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I just thought, really, there definitely wasn't 59,000 there at all. It was more like I read between 30 and 40,000, if even that.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought the lower tiers were bad that you could see on the TV, I mean, the upper tiers were completely empty. So particularly down that clock end section, it's always lighter up that end. But I think there's less season ticket holders up that way. Guys, our next fixture is the Europa League quarterfinal first leg against CSKA Moscow this coming Thursday. Chris, how do you see this one going?
Well, it's going to be intriguing. Possibly not the best time to play the Russians, to be fair. But I think, we can't take them lightly, can we? Obviously, they've made it to the same stage as we are. You know, any team in this competition, certainly towards the end now, we've got to just go out there and put in the best performance that we can. On paper we should win. We should go through. I mean, we put in two very good performances, I thought, against AC Milan, which I think, you know, pose the bigger threat maybe because they have got some very good players and they're a bigger club than CSKA. But we've just got to really go for it now. I'm sure everyone knows, and including yourself, it's you know, the only thing to play for now this season. So we've got to really go out there in these two legs and just try and get to that final and try and win the competition. You know, there's still some very good clubs left in the competition, and it's not going to be easy. We always make things harder than what they actually need to be, but we just need to see some real desire and passion from the squad now to try and win the Europa League, because it is our only hope for Champions League football next season, and it's a major trophy. So. If we can go far in that, do well, put in some really good performances, then it will make up a little bit for what has been a very poor season. It doesn't cover the cracks or anything, Harry. I mean, we've got to remember that whatever happens, I still think it's time for change. But as I've been seeing majority of people on Twitter saying that hopefully, you know, obviously we're all Arsenal fans. We want us to win the competition anyway. We want us to do as well as possible. But what will make it even better is if we win and Wenger leaves on a high, and, you know, it would be perfect.
Yeah, I think that's the ideal scenario, isn't it? That is the ideal scenario. But, you know, I think this first leg is particularly important. It's a bit of a difficult, not difficult, but it's different when you're playing at home first, because traditionally people prefer to play away from home first, whereas this time I think it's going to work in our benefit that we're playing at home first. And the reason I say that is because it's well documented that Russian teams don't travel well. if you look at the history of European competition, particularly in the Champions League era, the Russian teams have traditionally been poor away from home. And so you'd hope that we could, you know, inflict enough damage on them to cruise through the second leg, because you never know. You know, if you go out to Moscow, you don't get a favourable result the first time around. The second leg becomes difficult because they have that added weight of being able to score an away goal. So for me, although I'd traditionally say it's the other way around, I think we've got a bit of an advantage that we're playing at home first. Nigel, would you agree?
Yes, I totally agree with that. And like as Chris said, we just need to go full pelt for it. Give it our best shot. Try and win it, and then Wenger goes out on the high, winning a European trophy. At least then he can say that I've won a European trophy. I know it's not the Champions League that he set out to win when he first came, but it's a European trophy all the same. And at least he can say, I can go out on the high at the end of the season with a piece of silverware, and then hopefully back in the Champions League next season.
Yeah, of course. And that would be the ideal scenario, like we've already said. But there is also the danger that he might say, do you know what? I can win things. I've won 4 trophies in 5 years. Yeah. And I'm going to stay on a little bit longer. So who knows? It is a difficult one. Guys, give me your score predictions. Chris, score prediction for Thursday night.
I will say 3-1 Arsenal.
Okay, confident. Nigel?
I'm going to go for 2-0.
Okay, I prefer the 2-0 rather not concede the away goal.
Well, yeah, true.
I'm actually going to go with a 3-0 Arsenal win. I don't know why I'm feeling confident. I don't fear CSK and Moscow too much. I'll probably be eating my words on next week's show, but fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Right, guys, that concludes this week's Same Old Arsenal Extra Time. Huge thanks to our guests, Chris Davison and Nigel Plum. Gents, do you want to give your Twitter handles so people can follow you and keep up with you on social media? Nigel?
Mine is just as normal, at Nigel Plum.
Brilliant. Nice, easy one to remember. Chris, what about yourself?
My out on Twitter is at C11 Davison.
Brilliant. And guys, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Same Old AFC if you don't already. And for your chance to come on, just tweet us and we will put your name on the list. We've had a great deal of interest so far, and all your names will be added to the list, and we'll hopefully get through as many different Gooners as possible throughout the season. So we'll do our best. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Harry Symeou, Symeou. It's one of those complicated Greek names that no one can spell, so I always feel I have to spell it out. Guys, until next week, thank you very much for watching, and ciao.